When the Inferno Tower first appeared back in May 2013, players only had access to one of them. But it didn't take long for Supercell to realize that a single Inferno Tower wasn't enough to handle the growing power of armies. Just 3 weeks later, they added a second one, and for more than 5 years, that setup remained unchanged. Until Town Hall 12 arrived. The moment Supercell added the third Inferno Tower, it completely shifted the defensive balance of Clash of Clans. This single addition altered how players built their bases, how attackers planned their strategies, and how the game evolved from that point forward. So today, let's take a deeper look at why the third Inferno Tower was added, what problems it solved, and how it ended up changing the game forever. Town Hall 12 was introduced on June 11th, 2018. It was the first Town Hall that came with its own built-in weapon, the Giga Tesla. While this was an exciting addition, it wasn't technically a new standalone defensive structure. The Giga Tesla was part of the Town Hall itself, and didn't function like other defenses players had grown used to. At lower levels, it was relatively weak, and only became significantly threatening at level 5, when the Giga Bomb was unlocked. Until that point, many players felt that Town Hall 12 didn't provide any meaningful upgrade in terms of defensive power compared to earlier Town Halls. This created a noticeable gap between offense and defense. While offensive troops were becoming more powerful and versatile, defensive options weren't keeping pace. So Supercell needed to introduce something that could even things out. And that something was the third Inferno Tower. Now, why the Inferno Tower specifically? The answer lies in what was happening with the offense meta at the time. The two biggest game changers of 2018 were the Electro Dragons and the Siege Machines. Anyone who played during that period knows just how overpowered they felt. Electro Dragons could wipe out entire sections of bases with chain lightning, and Siege Machines were almost unstoppable. They could break straight through walls and reach the Town Hall nearly every time. But both of these super strong tools had one common weakness: the single-target Inferno Tower. That intense beam could burn through them in seconds. So, when you think about it, adding another Inferno Tower wasn't random. It was a strategic move. To refresh your memory, another top strategy back then was the Queen Charge Hybrid. In this approach, the Queen Charge was the centerpiece of the attack, and single-target Inferno Towers acted as a major counter, making it extremely difficult to pull off successfully. So, instead of adding a brand new defense, Supercell decided to strengthen existing ones. And the third Inferno Tower was the perfect solution. When it was first announced, the community expected it to make 3-starring a Town Hall 12 base nearly impossible. And while it did make bases tougher, it didn't make them unbeatable. In fact, Electro Dragon attacks remained very strong, though slightly harder to execute with an extra Inferno Tower on the field. A couple of years later, the Lightning Spell rework in 2020 changed things again, making it easier to destroy air defenses, and bringing Electro Dragon strategies back into the spotlight. By then, the third Inferno Tower wasn't as big of a deal for air attacks, but its impact was still felt elsewhere. The real difference came with witch-based armies. Before, witch spam strategies were incredibly powerful, but bases running 3 multi-target Inferno Towers became a nightmare for them. All those low hit-point skeletons stood no chance against 3 beams of multi-target fire. Players started designing bases around this setup, and it completely changed which armies were viable. This shift forced attackers to get more creative. Instead of relying on the same witch or spam strategies, players had to scout bases carefully, adapt their attacks, and come up with new combinations that could deal with triple Inferno layouts. It also made base building far more interesting. Before this update, most bases used very predictable Inferno placements, usually the same patterns since Town Hall 10. But after the third Inferno Tower arrived, designers started experimenting with new layouts. mixing single and multi-target setups to counter specific armies. This kept the game fresh and unpredictable. Even today, at higher town hall levels, bases with 3 multi-target Inferno Towers can still be incredibly difficult to 3-star, especially for bat or witch-style attacks. That level of variety and balance helped keep the game engaging and prevented it from feeling repetitive. We've reached the end of today's video. Share your thoughts on the third Inferno Tower. I'm genuinely curious to hear what you think. And if you found this helpful, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more.